Now, with all of the introduction of these aggressive means to fight a perceived enemy, that's the problem. Medical science believes that they're fighting a perceived enemy when they set up the medical protocols for so-called therapy, or what is that, not diagnosis, treatment. Radiation essentially is the quintessential collateral damage mechanism. It kills everything in its path. It's like, let's hope to get Saddam Hussein, let's carpet bomb and hope we kill enough. So you kill about 10,000 people trying to get this one person. That's the specific mentality of medicine. What it would do is essentially create a memory in the cells. When you feed the cellular network, when you change the frequency, or when you input a different frequency in the form of chemotherapy, in the form of radiation, the cells now have to defend themselves, and they create a memory of defense in the body. What they do also is they do not completely heal. No disease is completely healed. That memory is carried on in the cellular structure, because if you interfere with the unburdening process we spoke about, that interference now creates another burden. So the introduction of chemotherapy, the introduction of all these heroic forms of drugging you, creates another kind of karmic memory that the cellular structure now has to unburden in another life. So the more drugs you take when you're dealing with this crap, more medicines that you take in your body, the more the cells have to acclimate to this new invasion. This is the imposition that we spoke about earlier. The imposition of these genetic altering things that causes the burden to be forced. In other words, you take a pill for a headache, you don't get rid of the headache. You heighten the body's ability to not feel it. But the headache and the cause for the headache stays. The same way you repress the threshold. If the person is getting rid of cancer, cancer does not kill, beloved. Let's just get that straight, and I'm telling the brothers and sisters out there. Cancer does not kill. It only begins to kill when we override the directives of the body in its attempt to isolate the problem. When you have a problem in your body, the doctor looks at the problem, he now goes in, he takes a test, he punctures or destroys the encasement that the body created to defend itself with, and now the shit spreads and you wonder why. He diagnoses that the body has somehow isolated this. You got a cancer, look out, you're going to die. If I don't do this, it's metastasizing. Not telling you that that is the containment dynamic that consciousness, divine intelligence, created for itself. The body never kills itself. Every disease is an attempt of the body to isolate the problem. All diseases are short-termed. They are body-generated for the purpose of realigning the body back to health. Anytime you interfere with that process, you create a secondary burden. And then the body has to deal with that later on down the line. That's the best I can tell you, sister. Okay. Yes, beloved.
Why do you dislike King Akhenaten when you speak of him?
Well, I dislike what he tried to do, but I don't dislike him. The fact that he wanted to destroy all of the gods, in other words, take away what it is that God recognized of itself. There is no one thing operating in any dynamic in reality. All of what you see is God. So there are different principles at work. There are different functions at work within God. We didn't worship gods. That's nonsense. That's what they want you to think. We were scientific. We dealt with principles. And these principles were adhered to. These principles were given homage through respect, actually. Rather than homage, they were given respect. So when you erect different animals, these animals were condensed versions of certain principles based on their behaviorisms. So they weren't gods to be worshipped, they were principles. When that happened, Akhenaten said, forget all of the specific dynamics that God expresses itself as. Forget all the names, forget all the principles, all is one. Now when you've done that, you have centralized consciousness and therefore taken the state and allowed the state to take over or to centralize a particular brand of thought that allows you to only see one thing based upon your perception. But remember, the dynamics of Kemetu energies and understanding of the dynamics of all light came from a succession, an evolution of the science of being. So I know that my left arm is not my right. I know that my right arm is not my left foot. This is what they meant. If you say this is all one thing, then the functioning dynamic that we were created to recognize and represent is taken away. You centralize God, it becomes a state instrument, like it is now, and now you no longer have the divinity. Plus, you just wipe out a whole section of people that, it was political as well.
I was thinking that wasn't as good, could have been the whole.
Yeah, but you see, you can't deal with the whole because we're not in the whole right now. We are in the many. When God takes on the physical form, the many is the whole. You see, when you start dealing, unity cannot understand duality as unity. Unity is only unity. The only way unity understands itself is through duality. When duality is represented as itself, when it does the two dynamics of male and female, yin and yang, positive and negative, we understand the dynamics of unity in that way. So understanding unity in the realm of duality gives us a better perspective because we see unity in all of its dynamic expressions. If you take that and say, well, this is all one, when you say, okay, now, does that become expressed to one? All right, well, if that's all the one, you start dealing with generations from now, they have no clue because you've destroyed all the reasons for the one. Who are all the one? What does Enpu mean? Who is Heru? What is Ast? What is Heteru? These are dynamic expressions of the multifaceted personalities that constitutes the one you. The one you, yes. But the one you is not the one now. All of what we are enjoying is essentially the many as the one. But to come around and say that the one thing is all there is, you immediately destroy the fact that we are here to understand the many. You see what I'm saying? Yes. Peace.
I have a question in terms of when we speak about organic and eating organic foods.
Yeah.
One, can genetically created foods also be organic? And if so, how can you tell a genetically engineered food or genetically altered food?
This is when you have to get into the subtle sciences, sister. This is where I teach people how to use the pendulum.
Okay, and I have another question. I was watching one of your videos, and you were speaking about a calendar which is specifically dealt with the oscillation or the moon cycle.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could give me some names or types of calendars, not necessarily specifically with the moon, but on in any realm that would help me to move more in a direction within the universe, looking at the universe in terms of calendar.
I'm not sure what the question means, but I would tell you that if you're looking for anything doing around the moon, is that specific?
Well, yeah, in one of your past videos on metaphysics, you named a calendar which dealt with the cycle of the moon.
The Dendera?
I couldn't understand.
Okay, was it the Dendera? Okay, I'll have to find that out for you one more time. As far as you dealing with anything that has to do with the moon, are you under moon? Are you Cancer?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. There are books by the Llewellyn publishing companies that have that. You can find them at the Fifth Avenue at the East-West bookstore, or you may be able to find them at Quest in the Village bookstores. And they moved it. Between 2nd and 3rd Avenue? Yeah. Well, they moved it because it used to be in the Village on 9th Avenue. As far as dealing with the moon, they have a lot of good books around the moon and what a cycle means. Again, it means reflection. It's to reflect. It's essentially to take the sun's beams and to actually give the ability to the pineal gland to function. The pineal gland does not function well in the sun. The sun burns up telepathic waves. It's at the nighttime that telepathic waves are proficient. So at that time, the moon is in its height, in its glory. So that's the best time to do any kind of soul searching, any type of reflecting on one's own actions. Okay? Peace, sister. Tetepu, sister.
Do you believe that man's beginning is at the mountains of the moon?
No.
Okay, well, I know you're above the physical. I'm talking the physical form.
Well, yeah, the mountains of the moon, the Kilimanjaro, and around that area.